My name is Arek. I'm an architect and I'm from Armenia. So this picture starts to summarize the last 4 years of my life. It starts with a portion of my life where I was super hungry. I come from a modest family with not a lot of riches and not a lot of money either, so I was super hungry all the time to prove that I can make some money. I never made money until about 4 or 5 years ago. So I was super hungry, and what happened is I was starting to make money by showing my colleagues how to use architectural software, and they really started appreciating the fact there obviously was a gap in the industry for that. So I started teaching one of my classmates, and that classmate told my other classmates about me, and those classmates told their friends, and then those friends told their friends, and in about 2 years I managed to teach a lot of people, even firms. So it grew from there. It was really cool, and I was super happy at this point. I wasn't working a lot. I was working very little, but I was making good money. And that was a part of my life where I was still hungry, I was very ambitious, and I was very energetic, and I had all the energy to go with. Next slide, please. Alright, so all of this led to a company called Skillshot that I founded about 3 years ago. And in its time, in the 2 years of its functioning, it trained about 2,000 architects and firms. So what happens is, it was great and all, but it burned the hell out of me because I was doing it all the time, and I learned so much of what not to do more than what to do. So what happens is, because it started with me and everything was just focused on my own person in the beginning, when I founded it and I wanted to delegate it, it was almost impossible, and my way of management was really shit. Because what I was doing is I was writing the classes and I was letting my teammates run it for me instead of letting them have their own touch in it. I was being a control freak about all of that, and so it was kind of a pyramidal scheme where everything led back to me. Since I made this riches a little bit, like I started getting a bit of success, I was still afraid of losing it. I still had this fear of not having money. So I was being a control freak over everything, and I was basically controlling a lot of the stuff and letting everything just come back to me and everybody answer to me, which was obviously the not right thing to do, but back then I didn't know any better. So next slide, please. Alright, so what happens is, also at the same time, there's this talk, right? They say there's this quote that says, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. I think that's total bullshit because I was doing what I love doing, I ended up working 24 hours a day. And what happened in the meantime is my mom got cancer, and I started even putting more effort in all of it because what I wanted to do is, like, at some point when I found out she has cancer, I was like, we're never gonna suffer from money. I'm gonna do everything to make money, and so that I can help her out, so that we don't have to suffer through this. But I was very dumb about that because obviously it's not money that what we needed. It's actually more love, and I needed to spend more time with her and give her more love instead of missing all the time and making money outside. So I think that's the biggest fuck up of my life, but I have to say she's very well now, and she survived it, and I'm super proud of her. And she ended up being a very big inspiration for me in my life. So yeah, but all of that led to a very big burnout in my life because I ended up working basically every day, at least 12 to 14 hours every day for 1 year straight, and it gave me a lot of diseases and everything, and at some point I completely burned out. Burnout is real, and I understood that doing what I love could be dangerous, first of all for me. So I need to tame myself down a bit and get some more balance in my life. Next slide, please. So when the pandemic hit, everybody panicked, but a lot of people panicked. But there are also a lot of us who found some, you know, some kind of convenience in all of that. So what happens is I started calming down a bit. I took it as a chance to calm down a bit, and I started going online more, and I paid attention to my health more, because basically I started running things online, and I had time for my health more. I started running, I quarantined a bit, and I started losing some weight and all that. So it was good for me, right? But at the same time, we wanted to go online with Skillshot for about in the next 3 years, but we had to do it in 3 weeks instead. So that was crazy to go online with all the classes, because it was designed to be a local class and physical, but now it has to be online. Next slide, please. So Skillshot failed completely at the online stage. What I built, and I was so afraid to lose, I had to close it down, and it was fairly successful. It was still going well online, but it was not growing enough. I felt like I was stuck at it for the last 2 years at least. So what happened is I understood something, that if I want to do something online, it has to have online in its DNA. It can't just be this physical classes that has been going around for 3 years, 4 years, and now it has to go online, right? So I teamed up with a very good friend of mine called Krishna Vermuri, and we founded Futurely together at the beginning of the pandemic, right after Skillshot failed. And I was happy to fail with Skillshot and close it completely, because Futurely was going to be born. But at the same time, I would have been happy to keep Skillshot happening and delegate it, but that wasn't possible because I was an egotistical idiot about how I ran things. So it was almost impossible to let other people run it for me, because it wasn't built that way from the beginning either. So yeah, even though it was a successful brand, because of the way I ran things in the beginning, it wasn't great. It wasn't possible to keep it going forward. All right, next slide, please. So learning from the mistakes of the past and the ego problems that I had, I understood that the next company we build has to be built completely differently. It has to be built more on a community instead of running things and being a solo entrepreneur. Despite having a 15 people team, it was still being a solo entrepreneur there. So in this one, me and Vamsi, being my co-founders, so we decided that we'll take a background seat on things, and we'll let other people show up more. And we'll give our teammates a lot of freedom so they can be more creative about the way they do things, instead of just telling them what to do all the time. And then, like I said, we are always in the background, and we trust our team more. Until we don't trust them. In Skillshot, it was like, I don't trust my team, and I'm gonna do everything until they prove their trust. In this case, the way we're working right now, we trust them with everything until they prove otherwise. So it's a more positive outlet on things, and that's what we've learned over the past 3 years, to take it forward that way. Can we go forward, please? So right after I founded Futurely with my friend, I broke my arm in a very, very fucked up way. You can see the image. So I fell off my bicycle and I broke my arm. And breaking an arm for an architect is very, very crazy. So what happens is, the first thing you think about is, am I ever going to be able to draw again? Am I ever going to be doing the buildings again or designing things again? So, but the thing is, I didn't see it at the time, but it gave me a lot of lessons. And I have to introduce this as a fuck up on my side, because I feel like it definitely was a fuck up on my side. Now you can say, okay, you just fell and broke your hand, but actually on that day I was very tired and I wasn't supposed to go out in the first place, but I was still being this hungry runner, and I just went out and I fell. So that's the truth of it. And ever since then I keep paying attention to a lot of the signs that the universe gives me of not to do something, and I just don't do them anymore. So, but the best lesson that I got from this is, this was the universe's way of telling me to calm down, stop running, and have some balance finally. Like, even a pandemic couldn't calm me down in the beginning, right? So this was my way of like understanding that I need to calm down. And what gave me a boost in is that, okay, I stopped doing everything on my own, and I started boosting my managerial skills. I started communicating better because of this. Before I used to be like, okay, do this part and then give me the rest, I'll do the rest. Now I'm like trying to communicate better in the beginning, well enough so that they can do their job really well. So that's the boost it gave me. Next slide, please. All right. A year later, now we have about 2,000 registrants for our workshops that we do. We did 10 workshops last year, more than 10 workshops. We have about 10 instructors, and we did 3 major collaborations. And we also did establish a serious online presence that now everybody in the architecture industry knows us. It's pretty cool. But of course, this didn't come with Fuckup. This is a Fuckup event. I'm not here to talk about this. Next slide, let's talk about the Fuckups. Alright, we fucked up hard times. Like, this year, I'm going to tell you a few of them. So, one of them is that the first workshop we published, 1 out of every 3 payments didn't go through because of the way we set it up. So, we had a complete fuck-up. So, we lost about 2/3 of our students on the first event that we did. That was super crazy. Like I said, we're both of the co-founders are architects. We're not entrepreneurs. Like, now we are, but back then we're not into the IT stuff. So we had to set it up on our own as a lean startup. So we had to go through these fuck-ups. The other one is the confirmation emails weren't going through, right? Most of the students weren't receiving automatic confirmation emails for their signing up. That raised a lot of questions. And then on the first Zoom session that we had, we forgot to turn the bell sound off. So every time, it was like a 200 people Zoom session, and every time somebody jumped in, it was like ding, 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 ding. So that was super crazy. All throughout a 4-hour workshop, that just kept going on and on. And then we forgot to turn on the chat box too. So people didn't have a chat box to get support from us. That was crazy. So they came back to Discord again, crazy like that. A lot of fuck-ups, guys, a lot of them. But the biggest 2 fuck-ups of them all are this. One time, this person just writes to us on our Instagram and goes like, "Hey guys, I'm deaf. And I'm an architect, I need to take one of your courses." I was like, okay, that's crazy, but yeah, for sure, we'll add subtitles in the thing and it will be fine for you. And he's like, "Do you have this specific type of course?" he was looking for. I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be there in 4 months, right? In 4 months, we don't have it now, but it will be here in 4 months, so come back in 4 months, it will be here." And then he writes after 2 days, he goes like, "Hey guys, I'm deaf." Again, right? He just keeps reminding us that he's deaf. So, and we're like, "Yeah, cool. We know that you're deaf. We are gonna add subtitles. Don't worry about it. But the course isn't down." And he keeps writing us every 2 days. Every 2 days, he keeps writing us that he's deaf. He keeps reminding us that he's deaf, and he just keeps coming back to us and goes like, "When's the course coming out? When's the course coming out? I'm deaf. Remember, you need to give me a discount because I'm deaf." And things like, yeah, we're like, "Yeah, for sure, we'll give you a discount, don't worry about it," and things like that, right? And then 4 months, keeps coming back every 2-3 days and tells us he's deaf. And what happens is, at some point, I lose my head and I just want to explain things because it's a lot of chatting, it's a lot of tech support. So what I do is I send him a voice message explaining the situation. And just bear with me, like I sent a voice message to a deaf person who told me he's deaf like 100 times. So, and now I understood why he's telling me he's deaf so many times, because this guy just keeps bumping into people like us who keep saying they're deaf, but even after 100 times they seem to forget about it. That was a big fuck up on our side. And then one time we forgot our contact forms notification, so everybody who contacted us through our website, we kept missing it. And about 2 weeks back, we checked our that contact forms suddenly by accident, and we realized we have about 60 messages over the past 2 months, 3 months that we completely ignored. And most of them are like, hey, I'll never take your courses again, you guys suck, and things like that. Crazy hater messages and stuff, because we kept missing their messages. So that was about, and we turned the notifications on and started answering them one by one, but for most of them it was too late. So one button that we forgot to turn on, notifications, we missed a lot of people. And we usually are very attentive to this type of things. So, but anyways, what I want to say is that fucking up is human. I don't think we would have learned as much if we didn't fuck up. And at some point, fucking up has become a regular part of our job. We try hard not to fuck up, but also we kind of look forward to them. We want to make mistakes, and with those mistakes, we get the best lessons. Next slide, please. All right. So, like I said, lessons are everywhere. Even when you break your arm and it's not your fault. Me personally, I go like this. Of course, well, it wasn't my fault, but what was my fault, and what lessons can I take here, right? If you break your arm and think, oh fuck, I'm unlucky and this happened to me and life stops here or something like that, it will just stop, right? But if you go, you don't grow from that. But if you ask yourself a question like, okay, it gave me this. What if I didn't have an arm in the first place? What can I do now? How can I improve better? Or what could have I done to for life to not need my arm all the time? So there's a lot of lessons that you can take from anywhere in life, right? So that's a very cool thing that I live by. And next slide, which will be the final one. I think balance is the new success, and that's what I've learned throughout this last 3-4 years. Is that if you have money and you don't have health or love, you're just gonna suck, right? Even if you have a lot of money and you don't have the rest of the two, it's just gonna be sad for you. And if you have a lot of health but don't have money or love, it's gonna be sad. So I believe in having a little bit of health, a little bit of love, and a little bit of money, rather than not having any one of them at all. Thank you. Any questions, guys?
This isn't a question. I was just going to say I really love the part you said about like not chasing money and that your mom just needed more love. That actually really spoke to me. That's all I was going to say. Thank you.
No, man.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I think I gave you a microphone. Go ahead.
Okay.
Nope, I didn't have my hand up.
Adventure Goddess.
Okay. I just really like hearing you say Adventure Goddess. Thanks. I really appreciated your chat. I was curious though, what tools or that you may have discovered to help you just intellectually deal with the drive for money and finding that balance. Like as an entrepreneur, I find I'm always thinking about, will I have enough money to pay my mortgage? Will I do this? And it's so consuming, and yet recognize, especially in COVID, that the social part of my life is so minuscule that money doesn't matter as much anymore, but I still can't stop the track of, putting so much into my work so that I have enough money. What have you discovered? Like, how do you find that balance?
The main way I found the balance is, first of all, when I broke my arm, I understood that health comes first before anything, right? Your health will be is way more important. And before I was like, I don't mind, I'll not sleep today, I'll not sleep the next day, I'll not sleep the next day, but I'll make money, right? Now I'm like, no, if I'm gonna do this on the expense of my health or on the expense of my social life, I'm just not gonna do it, right? It's very simple. It's a matter of making the choice of, and actually it helps you become more efficient. You know, if you know that you have this, let's say 6 or 5 hours to make money, you will do everything to fit your agenda, your goals into those 5-6 hours. So it will help you become way more efficient too. When you're balanced, it helps when you're rested and you're surrounded by good friends and you have good health. Even those 5-6 hours will become way more efficient than just spending your whole day just keep working. It's not about working hard. And I guess I managed to do that when I didn't have an arm, and I understood that it's not about the biggest value that I bring to my own company is not my arm, is not the labor work that I put into my company. It's the brainstorming that we do together with the team. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
I actually have a quick question, kind of not necessarily about the fuck-ups, but about something that I'm passionate about, architecture. Do you think we're anywhere close to being able to use VR in architecture to its, not full extent, but to somehow more, as far as like we're building worlds here, right? And it's so much fun. Is it possible that someday, like, how do you see that? I don't know. I don't even know if I, phrased my question right.
Well, VR is being speculated in architecture a lot these days. There's a niche we call speculative architecture, and in there VR is being used a lot, but it's being used in 2 or 3 ways, right? One of them is the practical use of VR, where architects use VR to collaborate together, and before they build a building, they experience that building in VR, and they collaborate to get their work done. So it's a visualization tool kind of a thing with VR. So it's like a translator from the digital world to the physical world. But at the same time, architects are now diving into VR to create VR worlds. And that's really interesting. And when architects do it, you can see a clear difference between how a game designer would design a world and how an architect would design a world. It's not necessarily good or bad, it's just different. And I would actually, anybody who's interested, I can send links or things like that with the worlds our students build in VR. So they're pretty cool. And the way they're being speculated is in terms of experience and space. How interactions are being reworked, how characters are different there, how gravity is different there, how lighting works differently, or how things that didn't exist in real life are being there. So the main question is, what happens to architecture if you take away gravity and construction? What's left? And that's the question that's being tried to be answered in VR these days.
Cool, I need to get one of your lessons someday. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, let's give some
you
hearts
so much.
and claps to Arek.